welcome to RazorBranding Podcast with Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Hi, it's Jackie Russo, and I am so glad you're here with us today. You are going to be so excited about the guests we have, because the one thing that has united all of us in this crazy topsy-turvy past year and a half is the mental health struggle. So joining me today is Dan Jurek and Roy Petitfils, and we're going to talk about mental health and how we can get ours back where it needs to be and tolerate all the idiots out there who make us miserable.
Yes.
That was
Welcome.
good.
Welcome,
That was
gentlemen.
good.
What she said. Yes, that.
I mean, is that not accurate?
That's
Yes.
Y'all, I
Boom.
saw a fight today on Facebook over the proper procedure for zipper merging in traffic. These people weren't actually in their cars. They were on Facebook commenting on how they feel about when people do or do not wait till the end to merge. And I thought, we have some mental health struggles in the world that we need to deal with. I mean, they were calling each other bad names, like dropping the F-bomb, angry
on Facebook.
on Facebook while sitting in their homes talking about driving.
Road rage goes virtual.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And then, of course, the counselor in me says, okay, so what's really going on here? What are you really upset about?
I think they hate zipper merging. I think that's it. But you're right. It's the weight of the world feels like it's on our shoulders. And so what do we do? How do we help people who just feel so burdened by just the normal daily things of life? But then you layer in the pandemic and the unemployment, all the other troubles, refugees, war. I mean, turn on the TV and you'll see a million sad stories. What do we do for ourselves and for each other?
Roy?
I mean,
Well, I
who
think
has the
it's
magic
more
answer?
than a layer. I think Dan's
Yes.
going to have the better answer, but I'm going to give his internal processor a chance to formulate that answer while I talk my way into thinking. No, I think it's more than a layer. I think it's a really big layer. What's going on in the world, instability, insecurity about world events, COVID-19, and the divisiveness has really left folks scratching their heads, and so those are big layers and Dan can we disagree often. He can definitely feel free to disagree, but it reaches the level of trauma. It's not this event, but it's a prolonged trauma, and I see it in teenagers with whom I work, and I know Dan is as well. We're seeing trauma symptoms in folks that from these events. Dan?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Roy. The complexity of this, Jackie, is so big. We talk about the last straw, right? But this is really a real image that is correct. You've got the straw of stress of going to school. Then I'm not going to school. My kids are going to school. They're not going to school. Every straw is put on your shoulders. And even the strongest person can only carry so much. The person who has the tools, has the support system, has the mental resilience is still going to be overloaded with all this because it is too much. COVID is too much. The length of COVID has been too much. Here in South Louisiana, we got storms east and west of us, and we're trying to help people. And as Roy says, it drops down into this other than worldly experience, which is trauma. But then it even dips down below that, which becomes a helplessness, which is despair. There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more I can change. I have no idea where it's coming from. And then we go into hopelessness, right? And that's when we feel we are trapped and there is no solution except to get out of the pain. And so we either medicate that pain with alcohol, with drugs, with other forms of pain or overt pleasure, or we give in to the despair and the hopelessness and we say, I don't even want to be here anymore.
Wow, Dan, way to kick it off with an uplifting message.
Yeah.
But so I think you're right.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not trying to make light of a situation. I think you
Well, we need
nailed
to
it.
on some level so we can talk about it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm all
so
about the
heavy.
sarcastic response.
Yeah,
You know that.
go for it.
But so the question becomes, how do we help each other and ourselves? Is it a focus on self-care? Is it a focus on the higher power? And I'm going to preface this. I'm going to give you kind of a lead into the answer. I was reading something my good friend Krista Bio wrote the other day. And she said, I keep hearing people say, you got to do what makes yourself happy because that's how you're going to be happier. And she said, that's the wrong approach. We have to do what serves God. And that's actually what's going to make us happier. And so I'm asking you, do you feel like this is a move away from a spiritual advisor that's causing us to have these human issues?
I don't know that I would go that
Okay.
route.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. What I would say, in your question, how do we help each other? I think we have to open our eyes to what is in front of us. That everybody, what's that meme I heard? Who's struggling? Period. Like everybody. If we can open our eyes and just realize that your bad day is not because you don't like me, or if you're sad, there's a reason for it. And if I have my eyes open to my brother, my sister, if I have my eyes open to my neighbor, if I have my eyes open to my enemy, I will probably see that they're suffering with something. And the first thing we do to help each other is we come alongside each other and we partner. And we say, I can't fix you, but I'm here. Because especially, suicide, you feel all alone. You feel like there is nobody there. But then when someone says, I'm here with you, I'm here for you. Okay, now, and that's the first step. I mean, it is complex. And then there is the spiritual reality, but and then we can break that open more. And I'm going to kind of dance with Roy here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like, with all due respect to our friend Krista, who is just a wonderful human being. Let's put that out there before she takes a hit out on me. Not that that's something she would do. God, I'm going to get sued. I'm going to get sued so many times over here if I'm not careful. It's, I'll tell you what makes me happy every day. Watching Big Bang Theory, a nice bottle of red wine, the AC at 64 on my couch with my family lined up. That always makes me happy.
Bowl of popcorn
with the wine. I know as bad as that sounds, but
chicka pop. That is life changing.
Absolutely love it. Throw some M&Ms in there, and that's got a diabetic coma of
Roy. We're going to be dating soon. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Man, if I'm going against Saban, I just don't know what I would do there. But what really makes me happy is getting my big bald self out of bed in the morning, spending 5 minutes, even seconds in meditation, going to Reds, our local health club, which for me, that's a community, stop in our Lafayette office. And doing things that don't make me feel good necessarily in that moment, that are hard and that are very fulfilling. And that's what I think she meant by, when we've got to turn to God, and we find God through other people. And when that hurricane, that massive one hit, obviously in South Louisiana, Ida came through, and I don't know anyone in Acadiana. Now, again, we've got a massive well of empathy to draw from. I don't know anyone in Acadiana who wasn't doing something. There was no one who you go, oh, they just don't care. I didn't meet anyone. I mean, we were all talking about it. Folks were almost trying to outdo each other to see how could we do more for them.
That's what you need is giving and competitiveness matched up. That's the best case scenario.
That's exactly right. I will out charity you. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And along with that, right? Yeah, self-care is important so that you have the energy to help another. It's that old, the old image. Jane and I were on a plane a couple of weeks ago going to Charlotte, and of course they always do the thing, right? If you're with a child and you lose oxygen, put the mask over your face first, so then you can help the child. Right? Self-care is not about selfish. It's about being able to put on the armor and all the energy you're going to need to care for those that are out there and to help others. And so, yeah, like, Roy, like, I've got my morning routine similar to his, and I get to Reds, and, I don't leave Reds without jumping in the cold plunge, because it's not what I really want to do, but I always feel better when I'm done. Right. And I know that it's benefits for my body, but also my mental wellness. Yeah. Right. And I can step out of that cold plunge, go, okay, now I can take on the day.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
With the 20th anniversary of 9/11 having just passed, I thought back, obviously, to those days, as I know we all did. And it was such a terrible time for our country. And I thought about 9/12 and what a beautiful day that was as an American citizen. And I look at the divisiveness politically that we have right now. Is it that we need a common enemy to unite? Or is there another way that we can reconnect as people? And stop taking sides on so many different issues?
Yeah. It depends on what's leading, Jackie. Is fear leading or is love leading? If fear leads, we got to find the enemy. We got to find who's in, who's out, who's right, who's wrong, who's up, who's down, who's a friend, who's a foe, because now I'm going to protect everything and I'm afraid to lose it all. But if we lead with love, kindness, compassion, tenderness, mercy, outdoing one another in love, right? Outbidding one another in generosity. Then there's this unitive cohesiveness where we lift each other up instead of tear each other down. But what is the emotion, or what is not? It's not even the emotion, but what is the deepest core space we're going to lead from? If it's going to be from fear, which so much of the complexity we talked about at the beginning produces, right? We lead from fear, it's going to go that route. If we choose to lead with love, we can create something really incredible.
And I want to jump in dovetail right on what Dan said. And one of the things that I absolutely hate are these little psychological cliches that the whole world has accepted as true because Oprah said it, whom I love Oprah. But it's,
she's going to be suing you too,
I love Oprah, but one of them is you can't change other people. That's horse crap. That is absolutely not true. We absolutely can change other people. I think that leads folks to this almost myopia. Well, I can't change other people. And you've got folks whose whole life mission is to change other people, but it comes from a place of control, as opposed to what Dan said, when I come from a place of love, I won't just change people on the surface, but I can absolutely transform other people through love, through human connection. And I believe that's really powerful. And
right.
We see it in the work that we do every day.
Absolutely. And, to piggyback off that, Roy, just as an example, I can be riding in the car with Jane, driving, and she knows exactly what to say to piss me off.
Get under your skin.
Okay.
I was hoping that's where you were going with that.
You can. Did she change me? Fundamentally, no, but she changed the mood. We can influence each other profoundly. We may not be able to, quote, change the character of somebody in that moment, but we can give them an experience of love, care, compassion, mercy, tenderness that somehow touches deep within and in and of itself creates a change.
Yeah.
We've all been in a room, right? And everything's going great. And then one person walks in and all of a sudden everything goes, well, that changed it. But you've also been in kind of, maybe a stuffy environment and Roy Petitfils walks in the room and it's all excitement and liveliness and fun. And that's honoring you, my brother. Well,
thank you.
But it's true. Did he change any of us? No and yes.
Yep.
He changed us out of our our funk, our situational space. And if you can jolt people out of that with love, man.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing that this is a world of plenty, not a world of scarcity, and
Love that.
appreciating what you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
if you are wondering where you're going to get your next ounce of love, you are in a place of scarcity. But if you believe that love is an abundance and overflowing space, there's no fear.
Yeah, there's no limit. There's no limit to the money. There's no limit to the love. There's no limit to the opportunities. They're all there. And again, and that can challenge some people's notions of God. Depends on how restrictive their notions are. But God is unlimited possibilities. All those possibilities for everyone exists.
Right. And so again, even if we go not just beyond God, but right to the source of 1 Corinthians 13, right? You were quoting it, right? Love knows no bounds.
Mm-mm.
Right? Yeah. Where there is love, there's this overflowing, and the greatest of these is love.
Yeah.
So back to riding in the car with Jane. Just
Yes.
question. So, and I'm not trying to turn this into a Russo marital counseling session because Michael will jump in and
I love
remove
turning
me
the
from the
tables on
podcast.
Dan. This is
But
awesome.
but let me ask you.
Great.
So if whatever Jane said that kind of set you off, if someone else had been sitting in the back seat and said the exact same thing, would it have had the same effect on you? So was it in effect what she said, or was it who said it?
Both.
Okay.
And so I'll jump right into this, Jackie. Here we go. So a number of years ago, my daughter, Elizabeth, God bless, she's 20 years old. She found this comedian, right? And he had a little shtick called the helper in the car. Okay. He's driving along, and then he says, and then there's this helper in the car who happens to be his wife, right? I've never needed a helper in the car, he says. I do fine when she's not there, but somehow she thinks it's her mission to be the helper in the car, right? So Elizabeth had us watch it just because she knows our dynamic as husband and wife. But that in and of itself turns the page, because now if Jane does say something, if Liz is not in the back seat, because if Liz is in the back seat, she goes, help her in the car, and then it lightens the mood. It just does. Mm-hmm. But if Jane is just Jane and I, and she says something, I have a choice in that pause. Mm-hmm. I can either go into anger mode, or I can go, help her in the car. Thank you. Again, it's a choice.
Right.
And I think over the last many years, I've gotten much better at leaning into the helper in the car as opposed to the bully in the car.
At one point, Michael had decided that his new business venture was going to be, like you can do different voices on Waze or the navigation turn by turn.
Yes.
He wanted to do wife voices, which was like, I told you to turn. You missed the turn. I can't believe you didn't turn when I told you to. And so he's now private messaging me two things. One is he's about to shut this down. And the second thing he just told me is there's another choice. You can drop the helper off and let her walk. So you can tell Jane Michael has solved the problem with the helper in the car.
Okay.
He's no longer in the
why
car.
are you pulling over, Dan? Well, Michael said just drop her off.
Michael said drop her off.
Okay, Michael, you'll pick up the pieces, right?
I don't think he's going to do that. He's dealing with his own helper in his car.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's good.
We do have a question from Facebook. Hannah Critter asks, could you tell me more about your graduate intern services?
Oh, gladly. Where do I start? First of all, we have 3 really good graduate interns. They're from UL, from the counseling program there. But the graduate intern program, as Roy knows, and even you know, Jackie, was one of my dreams a long time ago, that I can only see so many people. Roy and I can only see so many people, and we can only, reduce our rates, take insurance on so many people. But there was a whole group of folks that needed help that couldn't either afford counseling or that didn't have the insurance for it or whatever. And I thought, well, we are a center, we are a teaching place, we are a supervising place why don't we invite these interns in to come and be a part of a team and experience what practice is about in its living space. But also then the PAX Renewal Center can meet the needs of more people, right? And so we have these interns. They are under the supervision as graduate students of the professionals at UL, the professors and stuff. And they're under my supervision as an LPC supervisor and my instruction, as well as the other professionals here who are all here to help, right? So the interns and those that counsel with them, so clients who counsel with them, they get this incredible, vast well of resource and resourcefulness for their clients or for themselves as clients, because now they don't just have a person who is loving this on the front end of it, on the cutting edge of all the new therapy and the understanding and the best practices, but they're with a seasoned group who can really help take care of the whole. And so the whole internship program is really about that, widening the space and meeting the needs where, Roy, me, Jules, Najwa, Candace, the others we can't meet everybody's needs, but we're trying to keep opening and meeting more needs of folks. So that's the long end of it.
No, that's a great answer. We've had a very full internship program here for years and years and years. And it's really the gateway in. So you come in as an intern, you become a part-time employee while you're in college, you graduate, you become a full-time employee, and it has produced some of my favorite coworkers ever. Right. And so I love when you can bring somebody in and it's that give and take. In the beginning, they're probably getting more from you because they're getting your knowledge and your experience and your wisdom. But then they take away all the great lessons that they learned and they help make the world a better place.
And I will just shout,
folks send people back too. They it's from the business perspective, they're referring, Yeah.
And a shout out to the Reagan and Allie. Roy knows this. We had an office change and they came in, swooped in, not afraid of technology, not afraid of learning, not afraid of really anything. And it's as though we did not skip a beat.
That's awesome. I love that. We have another question from Facebook. Do you see a shift in the social stigma associated with counseling? Are people more willing now to seek help than in previous times?
Absolutely. No question. I mean, we're not where we should be or want to be with that. But it's, most of my referrals come from teens telling other teens that like, I'm their counselor. So it's like at school. And so it's certainly true among adolescents. I think it's, yeah, absolutely. I think that there is a lessening of the social stigma. We still have some ways to go. I think that there's a lessening of the social stigma for a lot of adjustment issues, counseling, overcoming obstacles. I think when you've got some real mental health like challenges, which have been commonly called like disorders, some more serious issues, there's still lots of stigma there. There's still a lot, and there still is. There's a reason there's still stigma, which is the reason we still have lots and lots of, unfortunately, and a reasonably high amount of suicide, still in our country because there's stigma. But yes, it has been.
Right. And I'll agree with that. And what I agree most, Roy, is yes, we've seen the change for the better, right? But there's still a long way to go, because if you even go back to the Olympics when Simone Biles stepped out, you got to see the two sides of that,
yeah,
right?
You did.
One side that said, go Simone, way to take care of yourself, way to name that you're having a struggle. And then others, she's so weak and she's so and you saw that we still have so much work to do because there still is a division.
And I would add to that, on top of that that situation has come up before in Olympics, but could not happen. And I would say it's because of the lessening that enabled Simone to be able to do that. I think she kind of has grown up in a culture that empowered her to be able to do that. And we wouldn't have seen that 20 years ago. But boy, no question, you definitely could see on social media where the two camps align. But
and then you saw
there's one that's bigger.
And then you saw the girls last week, right, testifying in front of Congress for the trauma that they experienced.
Right.
But how many young women did that open the door to say it's okay to get help?
Yeah.
Right. The tennis player a couple months ago who stepped out of tennis for a while just to say, I got to handle my mental health.
Yeah,
and it opens the door to people going, hey, I'm high functioning. I'm at the peak of but I need help.
Yeah.
So why are we okay with somebody spraining their ankle and leaving the field of play, but not taking the mental break? What is the difference with that in our culture?
It's a key. You can't see it. It's intangible.
I can't see a sprained ankle.
Yeah, but right. That's a good point. That's a good point. Anything that affects the personnel, and look, this is especially true in the United States and other first world countries where we have a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and empathy has not been necessarily a strength of ours in terms of becoming who we are as a country, and but anything involving the mind, anything involving the heart, the personality, and again, we have projection bias. And so you've got a lot of folks who've never really felt or experienced true anxiety or depression, and who have never really fully experienced trauma. And they've overcome things that they think were traumas, and they may have been with a little T to them, but they haven't really and they were like, oh, well, you should just get over it. Well, because you were able to get over what you got over, but you may not have gotten over what this person has to get over, you know?
Right. And then I think along with that, there is the first world country, but especially here in the United States, that weakness is a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are mentally weak, you are flawed. If you are physically weak, even, I hear that on ESPN, right? Oh man, so he's always injured, right?
Mm-hmm. Like made of glass.
Yeah, he's always injured, man. He's never going to be who he's supposed to be, and we then judged them by production. When we judge people by production or their ability to give me what I want, or me to give them what they want. Oh no, you can't be going through depression. Yeah. You've got a report to write. You can't. Yeah. You can't be going. Yeah, you can't be stepping out of the Olympics. You've got to do your apparatus. We don't care if you're upside down and you don't know which end is up. Just do it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When she explained that concept to me, I thought, well, first of all, the fact that a human can spin their body that many times in that span of time is shocking. But then to not know what's up or down and hope you're landing the right way, that is terrifying.
Yes. Ooh. Exactly. And some people saw it as this incredibly strong woman who was willing to say, this is my limit. Doesn't take away from anything I've ever done before. And that's the thing. If we judge people for what they do instead of who they are, we will always be disappointed. But if we judge people, and not even judge them, but if we love them for who they are rather than who we want them to be, then we can accept them as they are, and we can help them get better.
And there's almost a fear, and I see it, and look, I've benefited from capitalism. I've benefited from a very strong work ethic, and as says Dan, I don't know, Dan's one of the hardest working people I know. I think I have a great work ethic, but there's almost a sense that and I see it in Christianity, especially in Catholicism. Like if we don't judge sin, then people might get the impression that they can just throw it all away and start really sinning, and it's our job to prevent the sin. And it's almost like in America, like if we give people a break, then we're going to create this welfare state. And that is not true. That's a fundamental misconception of the human person. Right. And that who definitely wants more for themselves, and that there are some people who do have challenges, and that we can embrace them and legitimize their challenges without creating, with some fear in terms of a welfare state.
And to use the language of Brene Brown too in her explanation of empathy and sympathy, right? Sympathy is up here looking down on the person who's struggling and saying, oh man, I'm so sorry, but you better get your butt up here. Otherwise you're going to lose out. Empathy says, let me come down here where you are and let's go up together. That is empowerment. Yeah. But we have to be willing to not judge this as a weakness, but this is just where you're at. But we can help you get to a much better place. But if I'm just always waiting up here and looking snide down at the people who aren't doing for themselves, and gosh, if you would just do the way I did, blah, 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 how's that helping them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Roy, I know that you deal mostly with teens, and Dan, I know you deal mostly with adults. As you look at the impacts of what the past few years have had on us and the mental health of our country, and this openness, or at least the inkling of the beginning of openness to say, I need these things to be mentally healthy. Are y'all seeing generational gaps in this? Like, Roy, are you seeing that more teenagers are willing to do it quicker and faster and kind of adapt and evolve in this new world? And Dan, are you seeing older people still kind of staunchly saying, pull you up by your bootstraps? Or are y'all seeing that kind of improvement on both sides?
Well, that's interesting because I took the liberty of directing one of our interns this morning to research that and pull all relevant data for me to be able to assess just that, with regard to teens in terms of how they're responding, in the last couple of years. What I will say is that we thought everyone was worried about teens and college students at the wrong time. Teens are much more resilient as a whole to these cultural things. Who I'm much more concerned about right now are the older adolescents in college. My college clients are reporting to me because, they're just more in touch with what's going on in the world as a whole. Not that high school students aren't, but they're struggling. So if you've got kids in college, just check in with them. They may not be struggling, but like the anger that's coming out of a lot of my college clients right now with what's going on in the world, and whatever side's refusal to take what seriously they want them to take seriously is concerning. And I find that I see more paralysis with them than I do with high school students.
And for me, I'll come at it from a little different perspective. From a family system perspective, it really is going to depend on the culture everyone's been raised in, even a microculture, right? So if your family is a family that never talked about it, shamed each other, I don't care if you're a 5-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 50-year-old, that is still not going to be the way to deal with your problems, and you're going to have a hard time asking for help. I think the families and even the older adults that I see that are more open to really caring for one another and wanting what's best for each other and having a safe and secure family system, even the older adults. I've got my, we call them in our business of couples counseling, gray couples, right? Now, those of us that got more gray hair, that we're seeing more gray couples coming into counseling. Couples that are older and saying, hey, we're open to this. But there are plenty that are stuck in a system that says, well, you don't need to ask nobody. We're not going to tell anybody my business of what's going on or our business of what's going on, what happens between us, And so again, I'm hoping that the cultural, the systemic norm is changing. But then it also has to be impacted in the micro of every family unit, and every every area. We were talking earlier today in our staffing about, if teens and young adults go to counseling, and if they need insurance, if you put depression on their insurance thing, their insurance receipt, when they want to apply for the military or they want to apply for working in law enforcement, that's a red flag.
And some med school too, that it's a red flag.
What about HIPAA? Well, you have to write that off and say you're going to send all your records.
Mm-hmm.
So then what, so then how do you get help if you are this high achieving student who knows if they go to counseling, it might keep them from getting into med school?
Or a military academy. Yeah.
And that wouldn't happen if they went to go see a doctor for a sprained ankle. So we're still not treating these things properly.
That's right.
Because 2 years later, I saw Dr. So-and-so for a sprained ankle. My ankle's doing good.
Right.
I saw Dan Jurek 2 years ago for depression, and now I'm doing well. Yeah. But no, you're still depressed.
Yeah.
So is part of the solution, and I hear people talk about normalizing things all the time, right? But so I'm going to use that for the first time ever because I never talk about normalizing stuff. But is part of the solution normalizing this where we're all expected to have an annual mental health checkup just like we have an annual physical checkup?
Wouldn't that be great?
Go stir up that pot, Jackie.
Yeah. I'm on it, Dan. I'm on it.
That'd be great.
Man, right? But if we all had to, right?
Right, because then it equalizes the playing field on reports because everybody's got the same checkup on their report. And how many things could you see coming down the road and help head off at the pass if you had a little check-in every once in a while and you could compare this year's visit to last year's visit, just like when I go see my doctor and he's checking my thyroid and she's like, I think your thyroid's a little bit bigger. Let's check on those things regularly and we'll see if the problems are getting bigger or smaller over time.
Exactly. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great.
And so just like wellness visits in pediatrics are covered by insurance, if this was covered, think of the money we could save if we had this wellness check ahead of time. I'm going to call Blue Cross. I'm going to take care of this.
You let them know.
Let them know.
Right.
And tell them that we agree. So
of course.
Right, absolutely.
So, Dan, you were talking about your gray couples who are coming to see you. And I could only wonder if perhaps you're seeing a rise in these gray couples as time goes on because they've been riding in the car together longer. Do you think that's it? The car helper has just finally kicked in?
Yes, because, and it is, you're spot on. Because you're having to be in the car with that person longer too. Right. Lifespan is going longer. Right. If I don't have to be in the car, when I'm 61 because he passed away, then it's not a problem. Right. But man, we're 68 and we're still in the car together, and now it's driving me crazy.
Right.
Yeah. and kids are staying home longer, and adolescence is getting protracted, and so the need for family and parental assistance. Yeah.
And I think there's also an expectation now that, and this is with my the real gray couples, as I call it, 60 and older. Okay. Because I'm 61. But we have expectations of what this time of our life is supposed to be. And it wasn't to be shut down and locked in my house for a year, when this was going to be a time when I'd go visit my kids and I'd go on those trips we wanted to take and celebrate our anniversary. I didn't think I was going to be having to Zoom conference my grandkids' schooling, right? So there's these expectations of what the later years of marriage and family life was going to be, and the great disappointment that it's not. And now we're ticked off and we're stepping on each other's toes in the dance of marriage a lot more.
Yeah.
How much does social media contribute to that? Because you keep seeing everybody else's highlight reel, thinking that's their everyday life. And so I see people becoming more dissatisfied with their own lives because they're looking at this picture of perfection that's so false.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a term for that in psychology. It's called false attribution error.
Ooh.
And like everyone
I'll be
throws
using
shit in the
that.
closet when people come over. Like no one's house is clean all the time who doesn't have a full-time maid. Right? Everyone throws and hides, especially in church. Especially in church, that family with 15 kids who comes in and they're all happy. They just drove up in the bus and they were cursing those kids out in that van, that bus before they got in there.
Right. Father had to meet them in the parking lot for confession.
Yes, they're great. They're it's we're all struggling, and you're right. Social media certainly highlights that.
Yeah. Fake
Certainly
book,
highlights
right?
Yeah.
The other joke,
Yeah.
fake book.
Faux book. Yep.
When you're when you're in a place of not staying in the present moment, seeing what is, being grateful for what is, you get on Facebook and you see what you don't have. Or you start comparing yourself. Man, they went on a vacation. My husband won't go on vacation with me. My wife won't go on. Right. That kind of stuff.
Right.
And
Their
it's one of the
kids all
things,
look normal.
and first of all, your presentation that you did for us a couple months ago on branding was absolutely phenomenal as a former professional presenter. And I was eating up the content, the way you did it. But one of the your piece about being authentic, that I think is so important today for people, because especially for those of us who have podcasts, who are on here right now, there's thousands of people out there right now falsely attributing to me, you and Dan and Michael in the background, levels of having our crap togetherness that we absolutely don't have.
No way.
Right. It's absolute. And one of my first rules, and when I would be speaking or even in the podcast, is to dismiss that. Right. I'm not to go to confession, because you don't want to know everything, but just let people know that I'm human. And it's so powerful because it lets them feel they're not alone. Let them now. My friends know that, right? But letting other, I think it's important. It's really,
but authenticity is a healthy self-disclosure that says I am no better, which is really to me the quality of humility. I'm no better than you. I'm no worse than you. I'm just showing up to this thing and talking about what I know to be true. And then I will get off this thing with you, Jackie, and I'll try and implement it in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I am troubled regularly by what I see on social media, especially when my kids were in middle school and, I had to watch and monitor the posts, and it was just awful. And now as I've gotten a little bit older, and especially in the interviewing cycle of getting to know who we're going to work with, I love it. I love seeing who people really are by what they post on social media. I save myself a lot of time in scheduling job interviews because I can quickly eliminate half of the applicants like that. So for as many disadvantages as they are, I think sometimes people authentically show up whether they mean to or not.
Yeah, I think younger generations do that
transparently.
And it's the gift side. And sometimes I want to tell them, start living your life instead of chronicling it.
Right.
But they do tend to be a little more transparent, and you get a fuller picture of what's going on.
Right. And if we are, any of us who are going through life and doing some healthy critical thinking, we will look at what we see, right? And if you just always post all the great things, well, I'm going to be suspect of that. Mm-hmm. But again, if you have no filter and no boundary and no realization that your drunken binge at some place isn't going to affect your employer, now you're naive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But that tells us who you are.
Yeah, you get to know people pretty quickly. They are authentic, good and bad, very much so.
Yep.
So, gentlemen, we are now entering what has become my favorite part of the podcast process with the magic cards. This is the lightning round. And so when we do lightning rounds with two people, you will take turns answering. You take turns rotating who's going to go first. But it's just a quick one-word answer. Dan, it's going to be hard limiting you to one word. Exactly. So Roy, I'll let you go first on this one, and then Dan can follow. Your favorite place on earth?
Oh, Assisi, Italy.
Nice. Dan?
That's what came to mind. Believe it or not. My
Yeah.
second one is Alaska, but Assisi.
Okay. This is not supposed to be like the dating game where y'all
I
have
know,
the same answers, but okay.
We won't from here, but that
All
just
right.
happened to be.
here.
All right.
It just happened to be.
All right, but
I'm a
that's cute.
Franciscan. He's been through seminary, so
I like it. I've been there too. It's an amazing place.
it is. Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible. We took the kids. This is the long version of the lightning round, but we had great opportunity. Christmas of 2019. We were able to get round trip flights for $350 each from Houston to Rome.
When was that?
January of 19. Wow. And so all 6 of us went on a 2-week road trip. We rented 2 cars because we couldn't all fit in one.
Absolutely.
And drove 2,000 miles across Italy.
Yeah.
And stayed in Airbnbs. It's off season. It was real cute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but so we had an amazing time in Assisi. It's just an incredible place.
So I lived in Rome for 2 years where I did seminary, and I got out of that city. I never even saw the Vatican museums. I didn't go in the Sistine Chapel. Every weekend I was like in Umbria. It's amazing.
Lucca, Cinque Terre. Yeah. I could just say
Unfortunately,
Italian
I didn't
cities.
like wine at the time, but if I can go back. it'd be
Right.
So
Wait,
now
maybe-
you see, we both have, all 3 of us have very
Look at
good
this way.
taste.
great.
So that's the kids on the beach in Cinque Terre. And then this is the doors of Lucca that Michael made for me when we got back, right over there. Yeah, how awesome is that?
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Anyway,
Okay.
sorry, back to y'all. That was just a little side note for me.
Great.
Dan, it's your turn to go first. Movie
Okay.
you can't turn off.
Movie,
Yeah, like a movie that's on TV and you just can't turn it off when it's on.
Forrest Gump.
Good one.
Goodwill Hunting.
Also good one. Good choices. Very nice. Roy, what TV show do you like to binge watch?
Oh, absolutely. Big Bang Theory. Watched it 12 times, all 12 seasons.
So good.
I'm a Jethro Gibbs guy, NCIS. But not
okay.
NCIS New Orleans, and
No.
not NCIS Los Angeles, and not NCIS Hawaii,
No.
NCIS.
Wait, there's a new one this year.
I love
Yeah, Hawaii.
Is
Hawaii's
Hawaii the
good.
new one? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still a Jethro Gibbs fan.
Yeah, the original. I got you. All right, Dan, favorite book?
Bible came to my head, but that's probably not what you want to hear.
No, that's a good one. I've had people
okay.
answer that before. That
That's my
works.
answer.
I'm thinking Roy's gonna have the same one.
The Power of Now by Eckhart
Oh,
Tolle is one of
Excellent
my top
choice.
5.
Yeah. I made the kids do a book club last summer. I was not their favorite person for 3 months. And they each had to check that out and read it and do a book report.
You're the
Awesome.
you are the meanest mother in the world.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
That's
they
awesome.
said mother something. What was that second word? Mother something. I don't remember. But yeah, they came home from
Anybody got a lollipop?
the whole table, the whole dining table was full of books. I'm like, pick them and read them. You gotta
That's
do a
awesome.
book every couple of weeks. But yeah,
I
that was
love
on the
that.
book, on the list.
I love it.
Dan, favorite podcast? Oh, you went first last time. Never mind. Roy, favorite podcast?
Ooh, favorite podcast. Ooh, I'm gonna let Dan go first. I gotta think. I'm not a big podcast listener.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not either, but I'll tell you one that I've listened to. We Can Do Hard Things.
Yes.
Glennon, what's her name? I can't remember, but We Can Do Hard Things. It's very good.
I'll jump in.
Talking about authentic and real
Right.
and just
Rogan. I mean, if it's the one I listen to the most, it's gonna be
Joe Rogan? Okay.
Yeah, I just like him. He's smarter. He's more than meets the eye there.
For sure. Okay, so it's Roy's turn first, and favorite car.
Favorite car?
Yeah.
F-150.
Okay, Dan.
I'm not a car guy. But the favorite car that I did have was a 67 Dodge Charger.
Oh, nice.
But it wasn't nice. It was bondoed, painted by my dad, my father-in-law, and I.
I mean, you realize I tossed up the softball because you could have gone with the one my helper isn't in, and that would have been a perfectly acceptable answer.
Oh,
Oh, Dan, you missed your chance.
sorry.
That's all right. All right, Dan, favorite festival.
Taste of Chicago.
Ooh, excellent. Roy.
I'm not a festival guy, much to my wife's chagrin. My helper definitely has a problem with that. But I've been to Festival International several times and loved it. I'm just not a big music guy. But
Sure.
yeah.
I
I'm
don't
just
see you walking
and I
around
was
with
born and
patchouli.
raised in the Chicago area, and we'd go downtown. It was on Lakeshore Drive. It was on the pier.
Yeah, I love Chicago.
My
Matter of fact,
kind of-
that's the
It's
picture
my
of the
favorite
kids.
city outside of Lafayette, Chicago.
Right
More than
above me, the
yeah.
picture of the kids is standing on Navy Pier with
No
Chicago in the
question.
background.
No
Yeah,
question.
it's such a great city. Such a great. All right.
By the
Dan,
way, it's
yes.
Glennon Doyle. We Can Do Hard
Oh,
Things.
yeah. She wrote the book Untamed, which is
Yes.
a great
It was
book.
a
Okay, I've heard of the
bestseller
book.
last year.
Yeah, great book.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Dan, pettiest pet peeve.
Oh, I got so many. What day is it? My pettiest. Roy, you probably know them more than I. My pet peeve.
Not cleaning up after them yourselves is definitely one of Dan's. Our microwave is spotless.
Oh, I bet.
Thank you. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
Just go with that one. That's a good one.
When
I mean,
my helper,
why am
when
I
my
always
help-
picking up after everybody?
Yeah, right, exactly. When my helper leaves all her crap on the side of the sofa after I've served it to her on the sofa, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're
I
right.
am sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Roy, favorite musician.
Garth Brooks.
Okay.
Chet Atkins.
Okay. All right. Dan, if you are at an event and everybody's singing karaoke, what song would you sing?
Cats in the Cradle.
Oh,
I'm so gone the same generation with you, Dan McLean, American Pie, the longest one ever.
excellent choice. Excellent choice. Roy, favorite sport to watch or play?
Tennis.
Okay.
Play hockey. Watch football.
All right. Excellent. Dan, favorite meal or food?
Pizza.
Mm.
I'm just Chicago
I
pizza,
was going
New
to say
York
Chicago
pizza.
pizza. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Deep dish from
Right.
Chicago Pizza Oven.
Kobe beef
Okay.
steak. Like that would be, my dream. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right. Roy,
Yeah.
favorite leisure activity?
Watching TV
Okay.
with my family. Yeah. Love.
Specifically Big Bang Theory, wine, and popcorn.
Yeah, and cooking shows. Yep.
Yeah. Dan,
Favorite, I'm sorry,
leisure activity.
hiking.
Okay.
Been out in the wilderness.
Interesting. Dan, favorite way to treat yourself?
Eat. Well, not the healthiest way, but it's
No.
my favorite way.
Favorite way.
And it's popcorn
All right.
or peanut M&Ms.
Oh, I love peanut M&Ms. Roy,
Buying expensive workout clothes.
that you then work out in, or you just wear to look like you
No,
work out?
I do. I just like
does.
the way I've got
Okay.
sensory issues. I like the way I like the way things feel, and
Sure.
they tend to be more expensive, unfortunately.
Yeah, the good stuff usually is.
And by the way, my biggest pet peeve in the
Mhm.
world, by the way, is humble bragging. Just freaking brag. For the
Yeah.
love of God, brag. Don't humble brag.
Right.
Do
Bring
not
it on.
humble brag.
And who said it's not bragging if it's true?
Right. Exactly. I love just brag. Just brag.
Well, the kids today now they call it flexing. I'm going to
Oh,
flex
that's
on
it.
this. Yeah, they like to flex on it.
Stop flexing.
Yeah, they like to flex with their fit. Okay, and last but not least, Roy, favorite concert that you have attended?
Garth Brooks. No
Okay.
question.
Was it the most recent one when he did the 5-city?
1992, Baton
Oh.
Rouge.
Okay.
Twice of the 3 nights.
Nice.
Awesome. Guitar's broken. Takamine guitar's broken. It's awesome.
That's good. Dan, how about you?
I don't remember the year. It was 1980 or 81, Chicago and the Beach Boys at Wrigley Field.
Oh, yeah, that
Oh.
would be good.
That's so unfair.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were beach balls going all through Wrigley
Sure.
Field.
Sure.
You suck for that. That's awesome.
That's the perfect way to end this, except that I have a Roy question. So, Roy, with your Big Bang Theory fascination, I was going to say obsession, but that seemed judgy. Do you have the same inclination in watching the prequel that is on? CBS.
Yeah, and we're up to date in it. It's not quite as good. Was a little disappointed with Call Me Cat, which obviously my Bialik was in, but
Right.
I love the prequel, and the whole family is pointing out any potential inconsistencies.
That's
Like,
what I'm
we
wondering.
should be consultants. We should be consultants. So far, they're like 99%, though. It's
They're
good.
pretty on it. They're pretty
Yeah,
on it.
they are.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And one thing, Jackie,
Yes,
it's
sir.
important to know that we are both Big Green Egg fans. We do a lot
Yes.
of cooking on the Big
I would know that if
Absolutely,
I'd been
yeah.
invited to eat something that you made in your Big Green
We
Egg.
will have to do that.
I mean,
Yes, no
For
question.
the record,
Yeah,
I like to eat.
absolutely.
I'm a
Absolutely.
big fan of the eating. Do it 3, 4, 5 times a day. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. I cannot thank you enough for your time and your expertise and your answers and the gifts that you bring to each of us with the consulting that you do and the counseling that you provide. Thank you all. What question did I miss? What should I have asked that I didn't?
You can reach us at
There you go. I like that.
www.paxrenewalcenter.com or 337-993-1960 to ask for help and be courageous and do it. We're here.
I love that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Roy, any parting words by you?
No, just I'm grateful to be able to, have my shingle attached to this guy who has just been, who was my counselor for 6 years, and just awesome. Thanks for all you do, and that's all I got.
Thanks, brother.
Very much. It's been awesome.
It's a love fest here.
Y'all are so cute. I love it. Thank you both. And to everybody watching and listening, thank you all for tuning in and for supplying great questions and for giving us your time and attention. Until next time, thanks so much.
When the day is through.